Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and today I'm continuing my 10th anniversary reviews of Star Wars Rebels. Today we're going to be talking about Episode 5, Always True There Are, which aired on DisneyXD on October 28th, 2015. 10 years ago, today obviously. And I gotta say, this is quite a fitting episode to be airing so near Halloween, because it has that spooky feel. There's actually a scene where Chopper turns on the lights for the abandoned medical station that they are looking for medical supplies at, and it takes away the creepiness factor. Then they turn the lights off again. And the reason why is basically because they don't want too much energy signatures in case the Empire is monitoring, which, by the way, the Empire was monitoring, and the Inquisitors that we saw at the end of the last episode is on the way now. But the title is only two there are. That means there's a second Inquisitor. And yep, there's a second Inquisitor. And she's the one that a lot of people initially were speculating could have been Barriss, basically before her face reveal. Eventually we did find out what happened to Barriss, but I remember 10 years ago, a huge hot button discussion was, should that second Inquisitor, Seventh Sister I believe, have been Barriss. That was like a pretty big discussion as I recall. Obviously I think what they did with Barriss actually worked better, but back 10 years ago, we did not have Tales of the Empire back then, so we had no clue. And so we were speculating wildly. Man, we're Star Wars fans, we still speculate wildly. Also to the Inquisitor... Sorry about that. The Inquisitor's droid just showed up for me. Like, literally, the first time we see the droid, it's not that head-on view, but it's still, like, creeping behind monitoring our heroes, so Ezra, Sabine, and Zeb and Chopper. But we do get that jump scare with that droid. Chopper is the one, it was either Chopper or Zeb who experienced it. They both experienced jump scares, I believe, but they all the heroes actually do. But I should actually address, I already mentioned that they were at an abandoned medical station looking for medical supplies. How did they know to go though? Remember Captain Rex's intel, and this is one of them that decided to check out. And actually, speaking of Captain Rex, he's actually in this episode, not on the medical station. He stays back on the Ghost with Hera and Kanan, and Ezra's supposed to stay, but he goes as well. But he essentially provides a new dynamic. He's kind of like that old gruff uncle, I would say, kind of dynamic. Because basically him and Kanan are clashing in their different personalities and everything like that. And at the end of the episode, Kanan does win playing basically space chess, whatever that game we see in The New Hope on the Falcon, but Rex remarks, so you can be disciplined when you set your mind to stuff, and takes it as a win even though he lost the actual game. And Kanan's like, I don't know if I like you more or less now. And that's going to be their dynamic going forward, as I recall. And I think it's just so great how they establish this dynamic. Kanan's natural mistrust of the clones from Order 66, combined with his more relaxed attitude as a Jedi and a Jedi teacher, versus Captain Rex's upbringing as a soldier. Like, that just clashes in such a way that creates a really good, fun character dynamic, and I love how it develops beyond this episode. But this episode just gave us that sample of it. And by the way, the episode opens with Ezra trying to lift Chopper up, but Chopper locks himself, and, he's the only one who doesn't see it. And Rex kind of says, hey, while you're reaching out with the Force, don't forget you also pay attention to your surroundings. That which implies that if he was, watching everything else, not just feeling with the Force, he would have seen Chopper magnetize himself to the floor. But like I said, overall, this is actually a really good episode. It does, I think, a really good job at introducing the threat that the new Inquisitors will pose for the Rebels. I think they did a good job at that, but at the same time, it also showed that while these are a new threat, it's a different kind of threat that we got from the Grand Inquisitor, got from Vader, and got from the regular Empire, showing that it's a different threat and therefore needs to be handled differently. But the biggest thing is that the Inquisitors know about Ahsoka. And of course, Kanan had no idea there were more Inquisitors. Ahsoka knew. That's how she got her white lightsabers. If you read the Ahsoka book or watch Tales of the Jedi, you see two slightly different versions of the same story. But regardless, Ahsoka is aware. Probably she should have told Kanan and Ezra, but at the same time, it's like, For all she knew, the Grand Inquisitor was the only one left, and Kanan dispatched the Grand Inquisitor. Which they do shout out the Grand Inquisitor. In fact, I believe this is actually the first time the Grand Inquisitor in Star Wars Rebels is referred to as the Grand Inquisitor. In Season 1, he was just referred to as Inquisitor. So that's something, probably because with introducing more Inquisitors, they needed, like, ooh, that first one being used, we probably should call him something else. And let's just call him the Grand Inquisitor. But beyond all that stuff, how I think they did a good job of introducing the new thread, and also setting it in that very, very creepy environment, and also introducing the new dynamic with Rex being a part of the crew. I also think this was a good episode that for setting up the direction that the rest of the season is going to take. Obviously, the first 2 episodes Siege of Saw was basically, hey, yeah, the Empire means business now. And then the previous 2 episodes were all about getting Rex involved. So now we actually got to set up the direction that Season 2 is going. And that's actually done in Episode 5. So while the first 4 episodes are in no way filler, and we'll be talking about filler in future 10th anniversary reviews for Rebels, because that was a hot button topic when Rebels was airing, as I recall. But the fact is that this is the first episode where that the actual storyline proper, I feel like, of Season 2 is going to be starting to be told, because now we got all the setup out of the way, the pre-setup, so that way we can actually set up the actual story. At least that's how I view it. You may have a different take on it, and that's alright. That's what the comment section is for. We can discuss our different takes and opinions on these episodes. But ultimately, Always True There Are is a really good episode. I love the introduction of the new villains. I also really much enjoyed the new dynamics that this episode has presented to us that we'll see further on. My only complaint, and this is a very nitpicky complaint, by the way, the title is Always True There Are. There's more than 2 Inquisitors, and they introduced more Inquisitors later on in Star Wars Rebels and in other stories as well. Only Always True There Are referred to the Sith. There's always true a Master and Apprentice. Not the case with Inquisitors, but I understand why they did that. It's a very good title, and shows that at least the new threat of the Inquisitors will always be presented as the pair of them, which I think mostly they do keep to after the introduction in this episode. So it fits and all that, but the nitpicky part is my Star Wars fandom brain. Just wanted to point that out there. But that's ultimately where I'm going to end this review. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.